an apiary inspector making recommendations or suggestions or dictating how a beekeeper maintains his or her hives on a day-to-day basis. What we're talking about is inspection for the purpose of identifying disease and taking steps in a timely manner to address that disease. And I think that has to be central to anything. Whether you register or not, whether you charge a fee or not, I want to make sure that you're not suggesting that only those hives that pay a fee or only those hives for that are registered will be inspected, because that undercuts the statute, that undercuts the public health aspect that I think Dick was talking about. And that's important to preserve.
Give a perfect example of Tom's saying, people in Worcester kind of remember about 12, 14 years ago in Holden, big town for beekeeping. A gentleman from Connecticut brought up 5 hives, put them in, nobody knew where he was, and all of a sudden everybody around him coming down with American foul brood. And of course, somebody said this beekeeper has bees. Well, he tried to refuse and refused. He knew darn well he had American foul brood. Finally, the statutes, obviously, we had to get some clearing from Boston, allowed me to go on. Sure enough, that's where it was stemming from. And if we don't have that ability to be able to go into a property to inspect a hive, then obviously it's a health hazard for everybody around the beekeeper.
Kim, how many cases of American foul brood like this past year? Because I have no idea. I mean, it's we can.
So I know we had Anita. Well, actually, there's a couple of people that came in. I just want to take a chance to have you all state your name, because y'all went around the group, and just so you're not. I know you missed the rest of the group, but just to let everybody know who you are and what county you're from.
Randy Johnson from Essex County Beekeepers Association.
Rachel Clark, also the same organization, lives in Hamilton.
Great. Anita Dealey, the same organization, and I'm a seasonal apiary inspector also.
So Anita and Ken went out, and they can probably talk a little bit more about this. I know Anita went back too and spent a lot of time on the Cape with the American foul brood little outbreak we had this year, and we also had. I'm still trying to get the rest of the inspection report data entered, so we're getting close. But
I mean, is it a lot? Because
no, it's very but you guys can.
I saw a lot more this year than I've seen in previous years. I've been inspecting for 3 years.
Just a quick statement. Do they all tend to be in the same area and cluster? I've heard words about where it is.
They can all be tracked back to the source, yes.
Okay.
We didn't have a seasonal inspection program for a year in that stretch in there. And we had problems, so I think we should have learned our lesson.
Yeah.
So we kind of sort of moved into hive registration, the fee portion. I guess we can go ahead and finish. Anybody else have any other comments about the fee? Or having a fee or not having a fee? Or so one thing I just want to bring to sorry. Yeah.
There's a little bit of overlap here between what you're trying to do here and the pollinator protection plan. Both of them, has been commented, should encourage people to keep bees. So when you put additional regulations and additional fees on beekeepers, you're by nature discouraging people. That's why I question whether anybody in this room would support a fee, particularly given what Tom said. It's not going to go back to the beekeepers anyway. So I don't know why we would have a fee. And then as to disease prevention, I'd echo, we have some very sophisticated people sitting in this room, some of whom have just spoken, including our apiary inspectors. If you have a hive with American foul brood, the 8.03, you'd be violating this as a public nuisance. If you're the guy in the neighborhood with American foul brood, you would be violating both this regulation and your town's public nuisance law as well, I think. And this disease prevention and preventing public nuisances among the apiaries should be probably the beginning and the end. one thing that beekeepers are very good at in this state and others is mentoring and teaching each other, and we don't need the state to tell us how to maintain our bees any more than we need them to tell us how to train our dogs. So I think the disease prevention and management should be, as it has been, a public health and contagious disease focus from start to finish and limited to that.
Okay. Anybody else? I don't want to. And again, if you don't want to speak in front of the group, you're more, definitely send me comments and email. And like I said, I've got some from people that could not attend today that I printed out. I wanted to make sure we captured them. So, yeah. Or if you feel like you're worried about my typing skills, you can also send me your comments again. But yeah. So on the fee section, I do just want to bring up one piece, and I don't know if you've all got a chance to look at the law, but actually there is, just to kind of bring this out, for hive registration, the way the law is written, so this would be section 32 of chapter 128 of the first part of the law. There is a section in here, let me see if I can find the line. All the way down at the bottom, it's the third from the top. It starts with exceed $5 per registrant. So if you go up one line to the fourth from the bottom.
again? I'm sorry.
This is section
32.
This is in the law. So I just want to bring your attention to it. The statute too. It's in section 32, chapter 128. There is a section in here, so this is actually in the law. So we're not revising law, but I just want to bring this up that it is in the law. That there is technically written into this, the Commonwealth and their location by the owners or caretakers thereof, the fee for which shall be determined by the Secretary of Administration and Finance, which in no case shall exceed $5 per registrant, regardless of the number of colonies so registered by him. So there's actually a fee that's listed in our laws. So, but it's for registration.
But you left out the first part, Kim, which says the commissioner may require by regulation the registration of all bee colonies kept within the Commonwealth. Yeah. So the only time you get into the $5 maximum fee is if there's a regulation requiring registration, which there is not.
Yeah, so that was where I wanted to go next, because I want to back up one section, is if we want to talk about hive registration next, if we're in this piece, if it's mandatory, then technically by law, the Secretary of Administration and Finance would be able to charge a minimum of $5 fee. So let's tackle the first maximum of $5. Should not exceed $5 per registrant, regardless of the number of hives. So yes.
One thing that comes up around that is that hives shrink and grow really quickly a lot of times, and so it would be, if I had to register for every time I did a split, that would be really difficult and make more work for me, which as a new beekeeper especially, that I have enough challenges in keeping my bees in a good way. But one idea I had is, what about having a tax break for being a beekeeper? What about getting a tax break for registering, or even a tax credit?
And I want to take that a step further. What about getting some kind of recompensation for loss of bees due to pesticide kill? There is nothing anywhere for beekeepers to support them when they do suffer a pesticide kill.
And taking it a step further, if I have a disease in my apiary and I actually do report it to the state, then having compensation, getting my bees replaced. I think they had a program like that in North Carolina where anybody who had AFB got an instant hive replacement. Is that right?
Yeah, I believe that. Back to years ago when I got hit with pesticides from the same farmer, the federal government sent me a check for more money than everything was worth. Mm-hmm. I mean, somebody's got to, hives are expensive today. I teach at all the schools. Good grief, you get hit with pesticides, and another story for another day. And such.
But I think in terms of not punishing the beekeeper for being a beekeeper, what about actually giving a support of some sort?
One of the things that you touch on actually is in the code currently, and if a hive is destroyed due to American foul brood,
$2.
it's $2.
Yeah.
So at this point, if you're going to compensate, which is already in the law, it should be updated to the current replacement value of both the bees and the equipment. because the beekeeper obviously has to get new bees now, and the equipment has to be destroyed, or something that, Kim and I have been discussing is, working irradiation into the program, so that way equipment can be saved through the irradiation program, which we're hoping the state will subsidize.